Welcome back to the Do-It-Yourself Wing It Guy channel. We've got another project for that old Easy Go golf cart today. You're going to see that the bushings are gone on the rear leaf springs. So here is the replacement set of bushings that I picked up. Just picked them up on Amazon. And I decided to go with rubber instead of polyurethane. I know polyurethane will last longer, but it's a little stiffer ride with polyurethane. So I went with the rubber for the replacements. So I went ahead and laid out the parts that came in the bushing kit. You can see that there's 6 pairs of these bushings. There are 6 of these sleeves, and then 6 bolts. 4 of them are the same, look like this, and 2 that are a bit thicker and have a little different looking nut. These must go to the front part of the leaf spring. So that's what we got to work with. Let's get started. Okay, just to set up so we can work on this thing safely, I've got the front wheels chalked, just a 2x4 in front of one of the front tires and a 2x4 behind the other one, so I can keep it, should help keep it from rolling forward or backwards. And then I've got it lifted up using a standard floor jack under the rear axle, and lifted it up just to get enough clearance to where I could get jack stands underneath the frame. And so you can see I've got on each side of the frame, I've got a jack stand. So both sides are supported at the frame, and we should be able to work on this safely. To get started, I'm going to work on the rear passenger side. I hit it with a little WD-40 to help get those bolts busted off of there. Okay, I've got the 2 nuts off. Used a 9/16 wrench and socket to get those out of there. I also, of course, lowered the jack down to where the frame of this cart is sitting on the jack stands. The jack is still supporting the axle, but creating a little bit of slack here at the bushing by having the weight sitting on the frame at the jack stands. Hope that made sense. So nuts are off. I'm going to pull these bolts out and we'll check back in. All right, so I got the first shackles off. This is all that's left of the top bushings. And then you can also see that the sleeve, you can see how that's pretty bent up too. So these were definitely shot and need to be replaced. There's nothing left in the upper part, but the lower part still has a half of a bushing on one side and a whole bushing on this side. And so that one just pulled out. But I'll get a nail puncher, screwdriver or something to get the rest of that out from inside of there. A couple handy tools to have with you. I used the rubber mallet to actually help pop the bolts out of the shackles. Also used this nail punch to get the remnants of the bushings themselves out of the leaf spring. A little bit of a snag. This bent sleeve is more or less welded itself to the bolt, so I can't get the bolt out of the shackle. So what I'm going to do is a little trick. Is I've got a pair of vice grips to hold that steady, and I'm just going to ratchet that, basically thread that bolt right out of the sleeve. Hopefully that's going to work. Let's give it a try. So that vice grip and ratchet trick seemed to work pretty well. So I was able to thread that bolt right out of the sleeve, and that'll come straight out of the shackle. We're going to reuse the shackles, of course, but the rest of that's going to get thrown away. We'll get started. So what I've done first is I slid the sleeve into one of those bushings, and then I can shove it through into the leaf spring and put the other end on, and we'll do that with both of those. So here's all the parts I need to get the 4 bushing halves, the 2 sleeves, and the 2 bolts. So the dry rubber bushings are a bit tough to get into the leaf springs. I have this rubber lubricant, and so I'm going to go ahead and spray that on the rubber bushings inside and out, so that they maybe will go in a little easier, and maybe I can get the sleeves into them a little bit easier as well. Let's give it a try. Okay, with a little rubber lubricant applied, those bushings went in a lot easier. Let's see if we can get those shackles on next. So the spacing isn't quite right to get the shackle brackets back on. So it's just not quite gonna fit on there. So I think I'm gonna have to lower the axle just a little bit with the jack, and until that can wiggle into place. Okay, so dropping the jack just a little bit to drop the axle down did actually create enough slack to get that bracket on. I'll go ahead and put the nuts in place, tighten those things down. It should pull those bushings in a little tighter. Okay, there you have it. So now I'll do the driver's side rear 2 the same way, and then we get those screws out. This one seems to be sticking a bit, but I think with a little brute force and ignorance, we can get that out of there. There we go. Ratchet and a pair of vice grips. Yeah, success this time as well. That's a pretty handy little trick. All right, there you have it. That's the driver's side. So now we'll figure out how to do the front bushings on the rear leaf springs. Okay, here's the location of the front of the rear leaf spring. Similar approach, just the one bolt going through, 2 rubber bushings, and we'll take that out and see what we got. Springs. The bolt head uses a 3/4 inch socket, and the backside nut is still a 9/16. And so there's not a lot of room back in there, so you just use a box end wrench for the back, and this nice extension on my 3/4 inch ratchet makes it easy to get back in there. With the nut removed, I can just slide this guy right out. There we go. So there you have it. And so now, I think all I can have to do is take this pry bar and use that to pull down the leaf spring till I can get in there and pull the bushings right out. So the old bushings are out. They're actually in pretty decent shape, I'd say. They weren't too bad. Probably could have gotten by okay not replacing them. But since we have them out, let's put the new ones in. There. I actually found that using the jack handle is a better pry bar than my pry bar. It's easier to get a little clearance. So I got the new bushings in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get that bolt in. There it is. Okay, I got the bolt started. And on the back side, there's not a lot of clearance for that nut. So I'm only gonna push it in until it's flush. And then I get that nut started on the back there. All right, so there's the bolt is in place. You can't see the nut from here, but I can feel it with my finger. So I'm getting it on there finger tight. I did have to use the rubber mallet to assist getting the bolt through the bushings. And now I can go ahead and tighten it down. Thanks for making it this far. Appreciate you watching our video. So at this point, we have the bushings replaced in the back of the leaf springs. What I did find is that the bushings on the front of the passenger side leaf springs really were in pretty good shape. Really didn't have to be replaced. So that was a lot of effort for something that probably wasn't necessary. So if I was going to do this project again, or if I was going to provide any advice at all, but I would suggest that you go ahead and inspect the front bushings on the leaf springs. So if you inspect those and they look like they're fully intact and still entirely together and not disintegrating, I would say just do the back end of the leaf springs and not worry about the bushings on the front of the leaf springs. But if the front ones are shot too, I showed you how to do that too. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. If it was helpful at all, please give it a thumbs up. This is one of my many videos where I don't know what I'm doing, but I like to do things myself. And that's why I call it the DIY Wing It Guy, because I'm always winging it. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful in some way. Comment, let me know if you've had similar experiences or if you have a better way to do anything that I've done. I hope you'll come back and check out my channel again. Once again, this is the DIY Wing It Guy channel. We winged it and it worked. Take care.